to record on the... Okay. And I'm going to make you co-hosts. There you are. Okay. We can let whoever is in, and let's begin the session. Hello, everyone. David and Helene, over to you.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Sunny. Hi, everybody. So welcome tonight to what promises to be a very exciting evening and a very, very important information about the liver, which is one of the most, probably the most important link that
for the entire system.
Healing the entire coordinating functions of the entire body. So it's a real key organ, and it's something very important that we all need to know. So we're very excited about tonight and about hearing more. So,
and we know it's going to be awesome.
If anybody has any questions, just let us know and we'll pass them on to them.
Great.
Thank everybody for being here.
Thank you. And David and Helene, anytime you feel there's some questioning or there is some sharing that you want to do, this is an interactive session. So I can sometimes get very carried away by the transmission of what's coming through, but you feel free to interrupt and bring forth what's showing up for you. Okay?
Thank you, Manu.
Great. So, yeah, this is 41 of 52. Wow. 11 more to go. And this one is all about the liver. And I like the way the wordings came through, which is all about the 7 livening techniques that are employed by the liver to enliven us and support us in our journey of living our life and really feeling alive. So first of all, let's just understand where the liver is, you know. So the liver is slightly on our right-hand side. So it is sort of over here, this sort of region is where the liver is. It's a very important part of our digestive system. So one of the first things that we look at are the different physical livenings that are enabled by our liver. So liver regulates chemical levels in our blood. And it excretes what we often hear about as bile. And what the bile does is it helps carry away waste products from the liver. So all of the blood that leaves the stomach or the intestines, small intestines particularly, actually passes through the liver. And the liver is like a filter. And whatever is left behind is what gets released through the bile. So the bile, liver has these tiny little globules. We'll talk more about those in a moment. And bile is secreted into those little sections that make up the liver. And how the bile is trickled into the small intestine is through the gallbladder. Now, if the gallbladder has been removed, which many people have had that experience where the gallbladder is removed, first of all, the energy signature always remains. Even if an organ is removed, the energy signature is still there. So the physical dripping effect of the bile into the small intestine continues, except it isn't in tiny little doses. The liver sometimes produces more than it can drip into the small intestine. So what happens is you start forming what is called as bile crystals. And those crystals require to be broken down from time to time. And as we go through the session, let's see what emerges as ways in which we can support the liver. So at a physical level, that's like the first set of enlivening or livening techniques that the liver deploys to support us. At a physical level, it supports our metabolism. It supports our immunity, supports our digestive system, detoxification, and it also supports vitamin storage. So the liver filters and cleans the blood, removes toxins and waste. And eventually these things leave the body through urine and through our feces. It also plays a very important role in breaking down stuff that our body can't quite recognize. So there are many fats which are not natural fats that we ingest, that the liver attempts to break those down. Sometimes when we take medication or we have a lot of sugars, the liver becomes very active and breaks it down in such a way that the body doesn't go completely out of balance. It can metabolize drugs and all of these substances that we ingest. Some of those could simply be, ingesting through our breath because of pollution that's going on around us. The liver metabolizes them, all of these things, into forms that are easier to use for the rest of our body. And where possible, it keeps working until it becomes non-toxic. So it as a filter, it'll hold back the toxins in there, does not release them. But what it does do is if something is toxic, because liver is the one that processes the fat, it wraps those toxic material in globules of fat. The liver is the only one that can process fat. So, and if it dumps a lot of its toxic content into the large intestine, unless the large intestine is completely clear, it can actually get stuck in the large intestine. And large intestine is not only an excretory organ, it is also an absorption organ. So those toxins will start getting absorbed directly into different organs. So the liver hangs on to it. And that is what makes it heavy and fatty liver, they call it. And what I've uncovered is that it is an excellent source of iron and of vitamin B12. And both of those are essential. It's a powerful combination to keep your blood cells in good working condition. I recently, as many of you know, I think maybe 10 days ago, I completed a liver flush, a liver cleanse. And just out of curiosity, I had done all my blood works prior to the liver flush. So I did that before the liver flush. And at that time, my vitamin B12 was low, vitamin D was low, triglycerides were high, and I had the bad cholesterol was also high. And 7 days later, after I did the liver flush on the 8th day, I did the blood work again. Triglycerides were completely normal. Cholesterol was normalized. And what was amazing was vitamin D and vitamin B12 was completely normal. I mean, I don't remember the last time both of those readings were completely normal. I mean, the interesting thing is people talk about, well, like vitamin B12, since I'm a vegan, mostly I'm a vegan, and I like being so, I would often hear from doctors even that, well, you're going to have to supplement your vitamin B12 because you just don't eat the foods that will, help you increase the vitamin B12. And it is absolutely essential for your immunity to have the right level of vitamin B12. Really important for your metabolism, a variety of stories that I would hear. I mean, the only thing that I did in those 7 days is I didn't eat anything. What I did have was lots of drinks, not fruit drinks, but more like vegetable drinks. So vegetable juices with no salt or sugar or anything. I also had wheatgrass, spirulina, and chlorella once a day. And there was the sufficient amount of water and lots of broths. That's all I did. And yes, I supported the liver with malic acid to break down and soften and if there were any toxins that were wrapped up in fatty globules, which can sometimes become calcified, and therefore the liver just holds on to them, doesn't release them in the large intestine. I did a lot of stuff to clean out the large intestine, including the band that I put, the cold band that I put around my tummy area, as well as a couple of very non-violent, non-aggressive enemas a day, so that my system was completely clean. And then the final protocol on the 6th day to get the liver to flush out, did that. Now, what is interesting was, yes, and I did have tea, a herbal tea that was made up of turmeric and some ginger and a little bit of black pepper. That supported the detox process, and it was quite a nice anti-inflammatory drink. And it is very supportive to the liver. So as a result, what occurred was when your liver is bunged up, which it might have done with all the traveling and everything that I had been doing, by consciously allowing the liver to rest. So now I wasn't taking any fatty stuff or anything that I was consciously aware had toxins in it. The liver could actually rest and recuperate. And in its recuperation, I was supporting the liver to get ready and prepared to soften they call them liver stones, but to soften the toxins that are held within it. And I was clearing the intestine so that whatever the liver was releasing in it could come out. It took 3 days, by the way, where I had the bile crystals break down. And when the bile crystals break down, then my tummy was, my intestine was completely clear, but suddenly there's quite a lot of yellowy stuff that gets released from your system. And it's surprisingly yellow that comes out. And that's good. That's a very good sign, because bile is what is taking the toxins out. And lo and behold, the clogginess in my system was removed through this liver flush. And since liver also is the store of vitamins, it was actually able to release a vitamin B12 that it had been storing there all along. It just wasn't accessible to my body because there were so many other things that were there. And so there it was. On the 8th day, vitamin B12 was normal. And because the liver function became so good, the filtering of the blood that was passing through the liver, that function started working really well. And I'm sure that would have actually dramatically reduced the triglycerides. So the thickness in my blood actually got normalized. Now, fortunately for me, I don't take any medication at all of any kind, not even the aspirin that a lot of doctors prescribe as a preventive thing. I don't take any of those things. So there was no pressure as such for the liver in any form whatsoever. I was able to really allow whatever needed to be released. Now, I wouldn't say that it was, I mean, the liver flush is not for the faint-hearted. Because your body gets super excited to be releasing toxins. So, and where are the toxins moving in your body to be released? They travel through your flow systems. So your cells can feel very distressed for 2 to 3 days. But it was quite nice to have that up close and personal with the liver during that time. Now, I'm in Dubai, and I was in Dubai for the whole 7 days that I was going through the liver cleanse. And where I am, I just live on just by the Dubai Creek, or the canal that becomes the Dubai Creek. And the sun rises just across the creek. So I also had the opportunity of allowing myself to be nourished by sunlight. So I was activating vitamin D. And I have done that, for a while now. But vitamin D markers were still below normal. Now, because I supported my body to release toxins, its ability to absorb became much better. So as a result, vitamin D also was absorbed better than it had been done before. And I'm sure that also supported the liver. Vitamin D, choline, and vitamin C, there's quite a lot of scientific evidence that show that they really do support in benefiting the overall health of the liver. So this is what is being livened up by the liver at a physical level. You actually start feeling much better physically as you support your liver. Let's look at the second one. The second livening that takes place by the liver is energetic. Liver is the key metabolic organ in our body. It is the liver that governs the body energy metabolism. It acts like a hub. And as a hub, it metabolically connects to various tissues, to the skeletal system, and to the muscles. Liver plays a key role in a very smooth flow of a liver qi, they call it in Chinese. It's energy, liver life force energy, or liver prana energy, or qi energy. And this has a deep impact on the person's emotional state. When the liver qi is flowing smoothly, the emotional state of the person is happy. And when it is impaired or obstructed in any way, you start experiencing feelings of frustration and depression and regressed anger, as well as you have physical symptoms. of tiredness and exhaustion. So that's why David and Helena was saying that, in the work that you have been doing over the years, Think Positive World, you have really been nurturing and feeding the liver. The best supplement anyone could ever have.
It's a good thing. It's balancing off all the other stuff we were doing too.
Yeah. And therefore, like eating light regular meals is quite helpful. Vegetables, virtually all kinds of vegetables are good and fine in treating the liver stagnation. And it's the liver qi stagnation. When the liver qi is stagnating, that may be because of fatty liver, that may be because of repressed anger that you have continued to build up. It starts to cause liver qi stagnation. You can support it by having light vegetables of all kinds. Lightly cooked is what supports the liver. Just lightly cooked, more than completely raw.
Like steamed, for example.
Lightly steamed, yes. And that helps resolve the liver qi stagnation. If the energy is not moving in the liver region, it is much harder for all of the liver functionality to actually work well. Now, that band that I talk about, the band that you dip in cold water and squeeze it out and wrap it around your waist, that really supports the movement of the liver qi. So the stagnation disappears. What is important is to also keep your intestine clear. And at an emotional level, if you've got repressed anger, find ways in which you're able to express that, journal it out, write it down as in whatever way you wish to express that repressed anger. Put a stop to every little piece that you write as an energetic instruction to yourself that I am putting a stop to this. So that way you're doing like an emotional flush. And then you can, burn the whole thing off using the element of fire. Add water to it using the water element to bring back flow and wash away the debris. And then pour it into the soil where you're earthing this newfound flow and happiness that comes from having released, flushed out that emotional repression of the liver. You will notice, I certainly noticed, because a liver flush, you must allow 6 days of clearing out and cleaning out your system before you do the flush protocol. And it takes up to the 4th day. At least to me, it has always taken until the 4th day, where I suddenly start feeling that my breath has become deeper. And I notice it in myself, where the exhales are able to be much longer than they were. And then everything gets normalized, but it's very much a part of clearing the liver. You start experiencing that lightness of being. When the liver qi is moving well, which is the liver prana is moving well, it's much easier for you to find that happiness in your being. The lightness of being is very much a phrase that communicates that the liver qi is moving well. Just want to check in with you, David and Helene, if anything is showing up for you that you wish to share or anything you wish to ask.
Well, it's just so amazing how that little liver there is it's responsible for so many mind, mental and physical attributes and interactions in the whole body, all the different organs. How such a important role.
And when you were saying about flushing out, you're that's happening in the first 4 days, uh, more, and it's not until, like you said, the sixth.
Yeah. So the first 4 days is all the toxins are actually being released.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So your body takes a while to be able to just deal with the shock of so many toxins that are floating through your body to be released. But if the moment you support your body, like I did with enema, I was able to flush them out much faster.
And what kind of enemas were you taking?
It was like with water, just plain water.
Just plain water.
I call it a non-violent enema. So it's literally just about, maybe 200 ml of water is all that I used. And I allowed my own system and the peristalsis that it induces to flush it out. But because I was not eating anything, but I was having all of these different type of vegetable drinks, then it was easier for my system, for my digestive system to literally digest toxins as well as whatever food remained to be digested.
And then it was the bile in when the things, when your system was purging whatever was in there, you were seeing that coming through with the bile, with the yellow at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I have had a gallbladder surgery many, many years ago. So I don't have a gallbladder. So it's like, there's that level of dumping of the bile can't happen because the gallbladder isn't there. So a lot of the excess bile remains stored in the liver and it can get crystallized.
Does that mean when you have an upset stomach or you're like feeling like nauseous and all that, and have to
Yeah, they are
throw
all
up,
little
all
symptoms.
that's from the liver?
Yeah. So I mean, so there are some of the symptoms of liver distress to show up in the form of your skin looks yellowy and eyes become yellowy and itchy and the skin is itchy and stuff as well. They are all like little symptoms that the liver is under pressure. It is an organ that regenerates itself. You can have a tiny dot of the liver left and everything else destroyed, and it will regrow.
The liver will
Regrows. Yeah.
now
It's an organ that is,
if there are marks on the skin
yeah.
or different, where's that coming from? Is that
Skin
Eyes
is
also.
skin like you've heard, when we did the session on kidneys, I talked about the skin being the third kidney. Okay, so even when the liver detoxifies, the kidney and the large intestines play a very big part in removing the toxins. So when the liver is bunged up and the kidneys are also bunged up and your colon is not clear, the skin steps in. So when you start seeing stuff on the skin, that is literally saying that these other organs need support. The quickest and the fastest, and I would say even the safest way of supporting these organs is through fasting. You have to make sure that if you're under any form of blood sugar medication, you consult your doctors before you do it, the fasting part.
Yeah, we're like you. We're not under any medications at all.
Yeah, and fasting certainly, you can go into juice fasting, not fruit juice, but vegetable juice. So you're not having the insulin spikes that you would with fruit juice. You can add a green apple if you like. I don't, but you can, just to get a bit of taste to the juice. Lemon is good. grapefruit is okay. And all of that can support you in quite a nice way.
Mhm. And do you suggest particular greens or vegetables?
Spirulina, she said.
Well, I mean, I was having lots of greens. I was having a whole variety of green vegetables. The important thing is it would be good if you are able to get organic stuff, organic veggies. Now, they're not always available, and sometimes they are prohibitively expensive also. So what I
Actually,
do is I
don't eat organic.
mix my vegetables in a particular way to get rid of pesticides where I can. If I'm at home, I can do it. So I fill my kitchen sink, not fill, like half fill the kitchen sink with water, and I add a couple of capfuls of apple cider vinegar, but you can add any vinegar to it. And then when you dip your vegetables in it for a few minutes, 5-10 minutes, and then rinse off, it is easier to get rid of pesticides.
And then you do also wheatgrass. You like wheatgrass?
Yes. So vegetables is vegetables. And as a very specific thing, I have wheatgrass juice. Wheatgrass powder is practically impossible to digest, but wheatgrass juice, there is greater ability to absorb. It's important that you have wheatgrass juice mixed with, I had it mixed with chlorella and spirulina. And I would just have it once a day. And really, because I've been looking for a way in which I can have protein without having to resort to lactose or any form of animal products. So that's why I had started the wheatgrass, spirulina and chlorella. That's all I had once a day. I would have broths, again, no salt. And there were two types of broths that I was making. Now, when you have a broth without salt, it can feel very strange tasting water. So it is important to make it flavorful. So how did I make it flavorful? There was one recipe that I had of the broth, which was made with mushrooms. So it was a combination of mushrooms finely chopped and celery. Celery is rich in minerals, and mushrooms also are rich in minerals. Before I chopped up the mushrooms, by the way, mushrooms are like a sponge when it comes to absorbing vitamin D. So if you just keep them in the sun for half an hour, they absorb so much wonderful vitamin D. And then I would put them in a pan with water. I would add a bay leaf to it.
You would add what?
Bay leaf.
Oh, a bay leaf.
Yeah. And also parsley goes really well with mushrooms. And then I would just strain them. And it had a natural taste of saltiness of the mushrooms and the celery in it, and the flavor of bay leaf and parsley. And it was just divine, like a wonderful drink, warm drink that I had. Another broth that I made, which was made with lots of tomatoes and lots of other vegetables. So I would have tomatoes, I would have a bit of beetroot in it, some carrots, some zucchini, lots of curry leaves in it, mint, and make that into a broth. And spinach, big bundle of spinach. So spinach adds the salt, because again, spinach is very rich in minerals. So spinach adds the salt, the tanginess comes from the tomatoes, And all other vegetables are able to very nicely release their mineral nutrients. And that also becomes a lovely broth to have.
What about dill?
Yeah, you can add dill. It's beautiful.
And what about artichoke?
Yeah, so there's another one that I made, which we don't get here. We don't get fresh artichoke. We only get the canned ones. But artichoke is very good for you, especially with the liver. So cruciferous vegetables are really good. What I also did was that I had another broth, which is a combination of broccoli, beetroot. This is where I would add artichoke if I had it. And I would
The
add,
beet- what were you doing with the beets? Were you
I was just again boiling them up and just for the broth. These are just different broth recipes.
right?
You know, so beet, artichoke, broccoli, cabbage, and even pumpkin. You boil it up and then strain it, make it into a broth, add lemon juice to it on top. If you absolutely must have salt, then add it on the top. Don't cook the vegetable with salt. So those were all really nice warming drinks. My liver was so happy with them, and as was the body. And then I would have various types of juices throughout the day. So it was like really like a juice and broth feast.
Was
That
she talking about sugary juices?
I know I wasn't having any fruit juices at all.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So there was no sugar of any kind going anywhere. Sugar actually is the one that really puts a lot of pressure on the liver. Sugar and just pure simple carbohydrates put a lot of pressure. You can have rice. So if you had 2 tablespoons of rice with 8 tablespoons of vegetables, that is all cool. That's fine. Wheat flour, first of all, you can't have wheat flour with this combination of vegetables. It's a bit difficult to do. So it becomes quite pressuresome on our system.
I'm sorry, you said 2 tablespoons of rice with 8.
Tablespoons of vegetables, like that combination. So if you had 1 cup of rice, you're going to have, like quite a lot of vegetables.
Right.
Which you can do. And, I have had it and it feels really good to the system. If you have more, if that proportion is off, you will feel that little bit of heartburn come in. So you've just had too many simple carbs. Our body is truly miraculous. It really knows how to, balance and harmonize. So I'll continue. Let's look at the third livening technique that the liver deploys to support us, and that is spiritual. In Chinese, the spiritual aspect of the liver is called Han, or it is the ethereal soul. And it is associated with sleeps and dreams. And liver cells, actually, they say, I don't know, I'm not tested it myself. The liver cells continue to live in some capacity, even after the rest of the body has gone into the state of death. The liver cells take the longest to finally give in and into the state of death. So you can enrich the spiritual aspect of the liver through visioning. And in your visions, if you integrate seeing yourself planning the realization of your visions, it becomes even more enriching. A beautiful time to do this visioning is just before you sleep. So, you've heard me talk about rest up, 2 hours, from 2 hours before you're about to lie down, go into a state of rest. Now, when you're resting up, during that resting time is when I do my visioning. And then I go to sleep. And in my dream state, the liver is being very beautifully nurtured at this point. And it supports the realization of these visionings that I've done. There's also a very interesting planetary connection to the different organs of our body. And the planet that connects to the liver is Jupiter. So the sun is the one that connects to the heart. The moon connects to the brain. Mercury is the one that connects to the lungs. Saturn is the one that connects to the spleen. Mars connects to the gallbladder. And Jupiter is the one that connects to the liver. In Vedic astrology, and I don't know enough about astrology, but I do know that Jupiter has a direct impact on our intellect and our intellectual capacities. So when a liver is bunged up, that cloudiness, that you get, or the brain fog that we talk about, starts to develop. The brain fog is really saying, liver is calling out to us saying, help. The enemy of the liver are sugars and those simple carbohydrates. If your skin feels itchy, it bruises easily, and your skin and eye start looking yellowish, your liver is under distress. So when in the liver flush that I did, unfortunately, when you do go through a liver flush, because so many toxins are coming out, you do get immobilized a little bit, which is beautiful, because if you can use the time that you are feeling that lack of energy to move, to connect to the spirit of you, it supports the liver greatly.
How often do you do these fasts?
A liver flush once a year is enough. You don't need any more than that.
Once a year?
Yeah.
Liver flush.
Wow.
Liver flush, yeah. You don't need to do more than that.
Well, there are other kinds of fasting to do, like during the year as well, right?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that if you look at most religions have got fasting integrated, in their system somehow. Like in, the Lent is the time that is talked about in, for Catholics and Christians. The Muslims do the Ramadan fasts. The Jains, who are a sect that is connected, that's an offshoot of Hinduism, they have a whole month as well where they fast.
Do you do those?
I don't do any of those. I would love to, but I haven't done them. But, you know, they are equivalent to doing intermittent fasting for 20 hours or so. If you can, like, even in the Ramadan fasts, once the sun has set, they can't eat until just before sunrise. So 18, 20 hours is good to fast. I don't necessarily do that regularly either, though I know it'll really serve me to do it.
Do you do intermittent?
That's what she said. She
Or is
does.
that what you do? Yeah.
I mean, 16-8 I do. 16-8 I do. So eating in an 8-hour window and having 16 hours, that I do. But for
Yeah,
my system, I would benefit from doing 20 hours fasting. That, when I'm not traveling over a period of time, then I can do that 20-hour fasting
20 hours.
and eat in a 4-hour window.
So when you eat in a 4-hour window, do you eat like a lot?
I used to eat anything and everything before. Now I'm very conscious of what I'm eating. So I do avoid
How do you get
sugars.
all of your, make sure you get all of your nutrients in a 4-hour period? You have to eat.
Yeah. What I have done, David, is I have actually looked at, you know, like really examined what happens to my blood sugar with different type of drinks. So, for example, my wheatgrass, chlorella, and spirulina does not spike my blood sugar. So that's a drink that I can have during my fasting period. You know, it's the broths, like the mushroom broth or the tomato broth, without the beetroots and carrots, actually doesn't spike my sugar either. So I can have those during my fasting period.
If you added the carrots and beets, that would spike it.
For me, it does. You know, it's still fine when you're doing a liver flush to have it. But there, you're not worried about the spiking of the sugar. You just don't want your digestive system to be working. You want foods that are just easily absorbed and assimilated. But when you're doing intermittent fasting, the pure fast is the best, where you only have water.
And that's for what, 24 hours?
20 hours.
Yeah, I got to start doing that stuff. I mean, I do intermittent. I just automatically, finish dinner, 7 o'clock hopefully, and then don't eat again till 10, 11 the next morning.
Yeah.
It's like kind of normal for me.
Yeah. But whatever we can do to allow our system to, digest the toxins. See, if you eat grains, because I have many days where I don't have any grains at all. So if you eat grains, they require at least 8 hours of digestion.
Greens or grains, you say?
Grains of any kind. So grain could be, wheat, could be millets, could be rice. They're all grains. And they require 8 hours to digest. And after that, after about 12 hours is when they start digesting toxins. So giving your body time once a week or several times a week to digest toxins keeps you detoxified nicely. So let's continue. We have only a few minutes left. So the fifth livening that occurs through the liver will fall in the social cylinder. And this is to do with the originating intent of the liver. Every organ in our body, every system of our body has an originating intent. And the originating intent of the liver is synergistic coexistence. So the liver is all about synergistic coexistence. So suppressed anger or emotions that disconnect you from others, take you away from synergistic relationships. So suppressing your expression, holding back unsaid communications that create a whole buildup of unfulfilled expectations. All of those things put so much pressure on the liver. They put the pressure on the liver because the liver is not able to operate from its originating intent of synergistic coexistence. I mean, this ties up very nicely with the sixth livening that the liver does, which is the mental one. And what affects the mental thoughts, because mental is all about thoughts, which turn into beliefs. So anger, suppressed anger, and us not expressing our truth, keeping ourselves disconnected, and any other actions that we take that fuels the disconnection, remaining disconnected to our own truth.
So that's why the positive thinking, it does the reverse.
Yeah.
It causes it helps the processing in the liver. If you think,
Yeah. That's what I meant by when I said to you, you have the most amazing supplement, liver supplement that you have been taking for all of these decades and sharing so generously. It really supports the liver big time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a relative that I have, and he was 34 actually when he got diagnosed with the cancer of the liver. And I mean, he was the calmest person I've known. And I've seen him growing up, he's like just about 2 to 3 years younger than me. And he was a neighbor of my aunt, who I used to like visiting a lot as a child. So I've seen him growing up, and he was really, really calm, very academic, an amazing chess player and like a grandmaster of chess, and various other, genius type activities he was known for. And then he goes on to have this liver cancer.
Wow.
Now, and most of his liver had to be removed at the time. But like I said, liver is an organ that does regenerate quite rapidly. So it did regenerate for him because he was young enough and had the ability to have his tissues regenerate faster than many other people might have. So it did regenerate. Then in his 50s, he gets it again.
Wow.
And at that, now when he was in his 50s, I was already in my spiritual awakening phase. And I had understood what was going on with the liver and where it was coming from. And he had he looked like a very obedient child, like the really, the good boy of the family, always talked about as an example for other children to follow. So as a result, he was often resented by other kids because he was always used as an example by their parents. So he felt disconnected as a result of being this good boy. And felt a deep sense of anger because he had got himself into a trap of what was expected of him. And he was always fulfilling and delivering on that anytime he did something which was not expected of him, there would be such a big deal made of it. That how could you do this? And what effect it had on the mother or the grandparents and all that stuff. So there's a lot of social pressure that he had put on himself. Nobody else was doing it. He was putting it on himself. So that was all that resentful anger that was building up. And so this mental pressure, when he went through the liver cancer, they did lots of protocols to support the liver physically, but because it is such an important organ with its originating intent of synergistic coexistence, only physical action is not enough for recuperating and supporting the health of your liver. And the good thing is the liver itself enlivens your mental state. So if you decide that, okay, I'm done with this held anger that I've been holding within myself, the first thing is to step inside and get reconnected to you, to what it is that you want. I often say to people, do what is best for you, and it turns out to be the best for all. Because when we don't do what is best for us, there's some form of resentment that we hold within ourselves. Puts pressure on the liver, toxicity starts to build up, filtering of the blood is not that great, so therefore impurities happen in the blood. And you have the kind of, blood marking results that I was talking about, like high triglycerides, bad cholesterol, various vitamins and stuff, and iron and all of those not being able to be absorbed by the body. So held back. The liver still is storing all of these good things. Our body isn't getting the benefit of it. So physical stuff is good, but make sure that you have ways in which you're able to release anger that you might have pent up or frustrations that you might have held back.
So would you say that it's still, bottom line, always comes down to your thoughts, your thoughts? If your thoughts are in line with your heart and your way of being,
Yeah.
and everything, all your organs seem to, I guess you automatically give yourself what you need, nutritionally, and just
You take the load off. You take the load off the organ, and knowing what I know now about the liver, that the liver is holding on to good vitamins and all of that. It's just that our cells are not able to absorb it because it's not releasing stuff since it's so toxicated. And when you release those toxins, including mental and emotional, and you reconnect to the spirit of you start connecting to the spirit of others and spirit of nature. Suddenly, you start feeling alive again.
And the best thing, of course, is just to be allowing your higher self, when you're in balance.
Yeah, well, that's the seventh.
Is your word you like to
Yeah,
use.
that's the seventh livening I'm about to talk, which is harmony. In my world, I'm more about harmony than balance. And the seventh one is harmony. So that's really all of the stuff that I've talked about finally culminates into this amazing flow of harmony. Harmony is what goes so well with the originating intent of the liver of synergistic coexistence. So the liver is the gift of harmony. And you can literally go forth, express your truth, and amplify simply by supporting the liver. It gives you back multifold. The liver chi, removing its stagnation, releasing any physical bunging up of the liver, gets your, your flow systems working well. Supporting your liver through your mental thoughts, uplifting your vibrations, and therefore emotionally having a more of an uplifted, positive vibe supports the liver. Notice consciously to find ways in which you can be in a state of harmony, again, supports the liver big time. And that supports the entire body.
So it's almost like a baseball team, right? And the pitcher is like the liver. Because if you're pitching a good game, even though everything else is
Messed up.
the other players are out there, like ready to do what they got to do. It's the
Very good
pitcher.
analogy. Very good analogy. Over to you to conclude our session, David and Helene.
Wow.
Wow. That's really, I
Wow.
think,
Go ahead.
I think it's powerful to know how important the liver is to all of the organs, to everything in the systems in the body, because people may not, I never thought of that. So it's important to know how important it is to be respectful of
Yeah.
the liver, and how much, I mean, like you say, the seventh piece was harmony. So that's like so important. That's the most important thing that we have to believe in and know how to achieve that, how to get to that place.
Yeah.
So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
I'm excited. I was nudging Helene before. I was saying, are you going to make some of these broths and some of these things? That, to me, I think I really need that. I'm tired of my breakfast cereal and all this other kind of stuff. But the other thing is the analogy of the baseball player. You said it's interesting because you said that the liver looks like a mitt, right? So that's where the pitcher is throwing those strikes, and keep throwing those strikes, and staying within the harmony of what needs to get done to win the game.
Yeah. You're very fortunate. It's such a divine organ, this one.
Really?
I'm so happy that we're listening tonight.
Yeah.
Great.
So many people missed out.
Well, they can see it. They can see it. It's all recorded.
So with that, I declare our session complete. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.